What is it going to be then, eh? That was me, that is Alex, and my three droogs. That is Pete, Georgie, and Dim. Dim being really dim, and we sat in the Corova milk bar, making up our docs what to do with the evening. A thick, dark, chill winter bastard though dry. The Corova milk bar was milk plus mesto, as you may, oh, my brothers have forgotten what these mestos were like. It befell in the days of Uther Pendragon that he was king of all England, and so reigned, and there was a mighty duke in Cornwall that held war against him long time, and the duke was called the Duke of Tintagel, and so by means King Uther sent for his duke, charging him to bring his wife with him, for she was called Fair Lady, and a passing wise, and her name was also called Igraine. Hello, my name is Duncan, and welcome to Baft Books. What you've just heard is two excerpts from two separate books, which I'll explain in a second. You may know what they are. No, but, this week's not gone as I planned to. It's gone better than the UK government, but it's still not gone as I planned to. So I didn't get the content out I wanted to. So I wanted to do something that I could basically have a discussion about, and I knew enough about that I didn't need to do lots of referencing and researching for. So I just thought about things that not annoy me, things that I think people. I think annoy is a too word, but yeah, I suppose it does annoy me a bit. It's when people turn around to you and say, "Is that book dated?" or "Does that book date?" Now, those examples I gave you, the first one, if you understand it, was from Anthony Burgess' A Clockwork Orange. Here we have a copy of it. This one I bought in about 1980, and I read back then, and a fantastic book. Don't think it gets enough love on YouTube or BookTube, but yeah. Anthony Burgess, when he wrote the book, was very creative in the way his use of language. He basically, most of it is narrated in a slang term used by the droogs, by Alex and his friends throughout the novel. And when you first start reading it, I can remember the first time I ever read it, you think, what is going on here? And it slowly gets into you, and you start to get the rhythm of it and the feel of it, and you start to understand it. In a similar way to when you read Shakespeare. If you read Shakespeare, the way the verse is done, you get into it and you start to understand it. It's the same as listening to Shakespeare. If you listen to the plays, when you watch a play, it does a similar thing. Now, the second one I told you was from Mallory, which is Le Monde d'Arthur, which was just the opening paragraph of that. And as much as that is different to Burgess's use of language, it does a similar thing. The pace of it, the rhythm of it, everything, it draws you into the world that they have created. You know, Burgess pulls you into it, and Mallory pulls you into the history of Arthur. But that is what good writers do. This idea that a book dates, to me, is wrong. A book doesn't date. A book is a time capsule of when it was written, about what is written. Even science fiction, you get many science fiction, especially older science fiction, the technology has overtaken them, but that doesn't matter. Harry Harrison book, Homeworld, which was released in 1980, I think, and in it he talks about a 4K memory bubble, which is like a USB 6. 4K, no memories. At the time, that was a lot of memory, but it doesn't matter, because in Harry Harrison's world at that time, that was the memory that was used. That was what was used. This idea that books date, I find very strange, because they don't. Because they are, I said, a snapshot of that time, that writer. And this idea that prose dates something. You could look at something like Charles Dickens is a good example. Nobody turns around and tells you, "Oh, it's Charles Dickens. Is that book dated?" It seems to be a lot of books from like the 70s and 80s that people think of date. And I think a lot of it seems to be, I don't want to sound like an old man shouting at a cloud, it seems to be younger readers, as they seem to want a lot of books to stick into what they see as social norms now. Yes, in older books there can be sexism, there can be racism. H. Rider Haggard, if you read things like King Solomon's Rise, some of the racism there is quite overt. It's just in your face. but that was of the time. That was what the characters were. But in his world of that, what he wrote there, that was what was going on. So as a writer, he's taken you into that world. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to believe it. But that was what was going on. And I think people do sometimes cut themselves off from things because they believe that a work gets dated. In 20, 30 years' time, all the new books, people, are they going to be saying, are they dated? But they don't. They don't date. I totally disbelieve this idea. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is just... I said I just wanted to just do a little discussion about it. I read a lot of older books, but I don't believe that, you know, half the classics and that, have they dated? No, they are of their time. I hear complaints sometimes about Tolkien. Tolkien was known for his flowery descriptions of landscapes and people and what's around them. I don't. Some people keep going, oh, he goes on about it for pages and pages. No, he doesn't. They are very, very flowery, sort of incredibly descriptive, especially of the world that was in there. But that is what takes you into the world. Does it date the book? No, it doesn't date the book, because that's of the time of what he wrote and how he was writing. And you even get modern writers that can do that. If you look at a more modern writer like Patrick Rothfuss, he's got some quite flowery prose within his work. And people don't look at him and say, oh, he's writing in an old-fashioned style. No, he's writing in his style at the time. So as I said, I disagree that the fact that books date. They can be of their time, they can be a snapshot of the time. Especially science fiction. If you read a lot of Asimov stuff, especially Foundation, a lot of it is men with smoking cigars talking in rooms. It's very interesting, but nowadays, if you wrote a story like that, you wouldn't do it the same way. You wouldn't have men smoking cigars, because people don't smoke the way they used to, and it'd probably be more of a representative mixture of male and female characters, which, you know, was less in their day, because it was a more male-dominated society, male-dominated. A lot of writers were basically white males. But that doesn't discount what he wrote, his writings. That's just of his time, of when he wrote it. It's a snapshot of his time. And in the world of the Foundation universe he created, that's what was going on. And that was normal within his world. See, so I hope you sort of get what I'm trying to get at, and my little point of view about this. I said I just wanted to do a video, more of a discussion type video, basically because of the one I planned to get up. I've not finished doing some research for it. But I also thought this is quite an interesting subject. So, do you think videos date? Am I talking rubbish? But we will see what happens. Anyway, so thank you for watching this, and I hope my readings weren't too bad, and I will speak to you all very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.